Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I am Leah Nyaosi. I've created this platform to testify of what God is doing in people's hearts and minds. I hope to encourage you personally to seek the Lord, no matter the circumstances that you're going through today, because God really cares about you. These testimonies, though different from one another, they tell the same truth about God, how God is faithful, only if we humble ourselves, surrender to His will, guidance, and love. Stay tuned.
My name is Pastor Charles Onsongo. I'm married to Pastor Leah Onsongo, and the Lord has blessed us with 3 children. I was born in Narok County. Those days it was called Narok District, and that's where I was born and that's where I was raised. And when I was born, I am a 7th born in a family of 11. There is this pastor that was a friend to our family who asked my parents to allow me go stay with them and that they will take me to school and bring me up. And that is what happened. And I want to thank God for the family of the Reverend Peter Olesakari and his wife and their children. I always pray for them. They took care of me and they helped me really, and they took me to school, they took care of me, and I always pray for them and I thank God for them. So when I stayed with them for all that time, I had not actually given my life to Christ. You know, this is a pastor's family, you're staying together, you're going to church every Sunday, but I had not made a personal commitment to follow Christ. And I remember in my first year of high school, that's in 1994, there was this meeting that was organized by the Christian Union in our school. They invited a guest preacher, and this preacher came and he preached about making a decision. And that sermon really touched my heart. And I really, together with my colleagues, made up my mind to follow Christ. And the pastor led us to Christ, and I've walked with the Lord ever since. So, and then after high school, of course, before I finished high school, my final year, I was a Christian Union chairperson and also the head boy of the school. Those days we used to say the school head boy. After high school, I really desired to become a journalist. I admired journalists, I loved journalism, and I purposed that I was going to become a journalist. So I planned that immediately after high school, I will enroll or apply to join a mass media college. So that was my plan, and that was what I planned to do. But then things never went the way I had thought they would, because soon after high school I found myself back home with my parents after the pastor allowed me to go back home. I stayed with my parents for a while, and then I moved and went to stay with my elder brother, who was then working for a certain company. I stayed with my brother for like 2 years, but then I felt I needed to do something to be able to earn a living for myself. And that is when I tried business, I tried farming, I tried employment. I remember I was employed at some point. And also I remember trying to work as a construction worker just to earn a living. So after staying with my elder brother for a while, I joined a church in a place called Kitale, that is northwest of Kenya. I joined a church because I'd walked with the Lord for a while, and I joined this church. It was a Pentecostal church, and every Sunday morning I would ride my bicycle and go to church and come back. And I later joined the children ministry and served as a Sunday school teacher and then a youth leader. But all that time, I did not know that God was really interested in me serving Him. So my pastor, who is still my pastor even up to today, Bishop Dr. Moses Kisorio, was the senior pastor then. I think he must have seen that there was a calling in me, but I didn't know. And one day I remember he approached me and talked to me and asked me if I would be interested in joining a Bible college, something that I never imagined I will do. So I said, okay, let me think about it. I'll come back to you. And the pastor was patient enough. He allowed me to think through. And actually later, I felt the conviction that really God was calling me. So I went back to my pastor, talked to him, who he is actually my mentor. He's been very supportive. I remember when I was getting married, he was very supportive. And he's my mentor, Bishop Dr. Moses Kisorio. And I always also pray for him, his ministry, and his family. So he asked me to go to college. And I went to this college. I did a diploma in Christian ministry, which took me 2 years. And then later I enrolled in another Bible school where he was the teacher and also the principal. And I was there for 4 years. And when I graduated, my senior pastor asked me to actually join the pastoral staff and serve as a youth pastor. And that is what I did. I joined the pastoral staff. I served for a while as a youth pastor and also a youth ministry director in the entire ministry. But then still, as I was doing that, I had this very challenge about Christian ministry, because people used to scare us then. Like, if you choose to be a Christian worker, you choose to be a pastor, you're choosing poverty, because you will depend on church offering and people helping you and things like that. And they used to tell us people that choose to serve God or become pastors are people who never went to school, people that have nothing to do, and they choose to be pastors because they have nothing to do. And I think some of these things are not right. It's not right. Because out of my experience, I've learned that God can call people and they can leave their careers and come back to serve God. So, and that's how I served. Then later, I became an associate pastor. And I served in that capacity for a while, like 10 years. And that was challenging, the ministry was challenging. Remember, I'm now married and we have a child, and our challenges of finances and things like that. But we kept trusting God. And God saw us through. Thank God for my wife, Leah. She stood with me and we have served together ever since. But then something happened about the year 2014. We were praying about relinquishing pastoral work to actually be involved in missions. And I remember my brother Jesse Dix came to visit our town. And we had a conversation, him, my wife, and myself. We had a conversation, and he was talking to us about missions and missionary work and training missionaries. And kind of we connected. And later, after that, we moved to Isiolo to visit. We visited Jesse's family, him, his wife Rachel, and their children, and we had a candid conversation. We talked about missions, and they asked us if we were really feeling the calling to do missionary. That's what we did. We went back, talked to the leadership of our church, our bishop. They prayed for us, and they released us in the year 2015. We moved to Isiolo, and we established the School of Missions and Prayer, where we train native missionaries and send them to the unreached peoples. And currently, I'm actually serving as the Dean of Students in the School of Missions and Prayer in Isiolo. And together with my wife, we serve as staff, and I want to thank God so much because He's been very, very faithful. And we also, a year ago, we planted a church, which is very young, but we are trusting God to continue also doing pastoral work and nurturing the spiritual lives of people and preaching the gospel, and also training people and encouraging young people to join the School of Missions and Prayer. And we also do community service. My wife has this passion. She likes serving people. I remember us with friends helping one family build a house, and I also remember us distributing food to the needy in the community, and we'll continue to do that as the Lord provides. I want to encourage someone. My story can actually encourage someone. You know, I told you that I never imagined I will become a pastor. I wanted to be a journalist because I admired journalism, I loved journalists, and I wanted to become one. I didn't know that God had a plan for me to serve Him. And today I can look back and say, really, God is faithful. And He called me. The things I thought I was not going to get, God has provided. So I want to encourage someone. Maybe you are working somewhere and you're feeling this calling. Maybe you're pursuing a career. Maybe you are in business. Maybe you're a farmer and you're feeling like there is this something that is pushing you. It may be a calling from God, that God is calling you to consider serving Him. And I want to assure you that God is faithful. I'm not saying serving God is easy. It has its own challenges. But as long as God has called you, He will always be with you. He will always provide, and He will always stand with you. So my friend, if you have a calling from God, maybe you are a teacher employed by government, maybe you are a civil servant, maybe you are doing something else, you are pursuing a career, maybe you are a lawyer, and you feel God is calling you, I challenge you today, consider accepting the calling from God, and God will bless you. Thank you so much for listening to me, and God bless you.